Hello everyone, my name is Havish Madhupati. Welcome to video number 10 in a series of 100 videos where I teach you how to recreate consulting charts. We're going to look at an example that seems very straightforward. After all, we have 4 columns representing 4 years, and there is a column that has been highlighted. And you might be wondering, what's the big deal about it? Now, of course, you can do this manually, but what I'm going to teach you is how to do this dynamically, which means we would now be able to choose any one of the 4 years, and while you're presenting, you can move between the years, and that is the column that will get highlighted. Let's have a look. So I have the sample. We also have the same data that I have copied. Now, what I would like to do here is to let the user choose the year. And in this, we will add a drop-down validation, which is a list, and the source is these 4 values. And the user here can decide whichever one they want. Now we would like to keep a condition. So I just copy the heading one more time. And the condition would be that if the year is equal to the chosen year, let's also put a $sign here, then I would like to show the value, otherwise I would like to show a 0. Now this means that at any given point, only one of the 4 years will be shown. So if I select 19, 20, 21 and 22, only one of these is shown and the others are 0. So now when we select all the 3 columns and insert a column chart, you will notice that 2022 has 2 columns. And that's exactly what we wanted. So now we can first remove the heading from here because that might be confusing. In fact, we don't even want the legend. I can remove it entirely. Where we have the blue color, we would like to change that to the gray that we have in EY. So I would like to come back. Let's go to shape format, shape fill and the eyedropper. I'm doing this because I want to know what exactly is the RGB value for that gray that EY is using. So that would be 84, 95, 107. Let's come back. Right click, fill, more fill colors. So 84, 95 and then 107. One more time, we will again select shape format, shape fill and the eyedropper. And for the yellow, we have 254, 211 and 4. So right click, fill, more fill colors, 254, 211 and then 4. The only thing left for us to do is to double click and make the series overlap 100%. So what has happened is that despite the fact that there are 2 columns, we are overlapping them one over the other. Now why can't we see the one for 19, 20, 21? Obviously, we can't see them because the value is 0. So imagine if this value was, let's say 50, do you see that the yellow color comes in? But this perfectly solves our need. And what we're going to do now is to change the year, and as you can see, whichever year we select, that one gets highlighted. Let's now do a few formatting changes. Let's first add the data label at the top. And since we have the data label, we don't need the y-axis. And we also don't need the grid line that is coming at the back, so we can delete that as well. Now I would like to make the chart title dynamic. Let's see if we can do that. So if I select the chart title, and we click on the formula bar and press equal to and select a cell, you will notice that the chart title now becomes dynamic. Whatever I write in that cell will come in the title as well. One more time, we selected the chart title, we put in an equal to sign, and we selected a cell. What would we want to see there? Now the sample EY report that we have tells me that TV advertising revenue grew 2%, which means they are comparing 19 with 2022. But what if I want to compare 2019 with any of the years? That also reminds me we have to remove these zeros that are coming in. So what we want to do is we want to create the dynamic title, and this makes perfect sense. We simply want to say that it is equal to the selected year. That means what is the value for 2020? It is 251. So we want to do a VLOOKUP. We are searching for 2020 in column B. The result is in column C, so that's the second column, and we want to do an exact match. So as you can see, when we change the year, that value also changes. Now we want to see the change compared with 2019. So we want to divide it by a constant, that is C3, and then -1. Now if we change this to a percentage, you notice it tells us that there has been a negative 22%, which means a 22% decline compared with 2019. If I look at 2021, then between 320 and 313 there has been a decline of 2%, and finally there has been a decrease of 1%. I do want to check that number though. Let's have a look. Yeah, I think that seems about right. There has been a decrease. I am still not quite sure why on the chart it says that our revenues have grown, but for the moment we can skip that. But we are confident that our calculations are working perfectly. The only problem is that if I choose 2019, then it gives me a 0%, and that might be a bit misleading. So what I would like to do here is to not let the user choose 2019. So let's go back to data validation, and we don't want to select B3, we want to start from B4. Now this way the user only has three choices: 2020, 2021, 2022. And now it says -1%, but I would also want to add here that the change is, let's do that one more time, in double quote, that the change is, and we take the number. Now the only problem is that when you do this, the percentage changes to its raw format, which is a decimal. So we will have to use a text function here where we say that enclose the entire result in a text, and the format that we want is 0.00%. As you can see, this is what we get. Now I again select the title, go to the formula bar, put in equal to, click on the cell H3, that's the dynamic title. And as you can see, now we have our dynamic title. So whichever year the user chooses, it tells me that that is the change that has happened. And it also tells me the dynamic title. That means the change can be seen along with the color that is coming. Now the only thing is that what if there was an increase, which means let us say in 2020 the number was 340, just as an example. Now while even now it works okay, in the sense that we have changes 6.25%, I would have ideally wanted to get the word that it has grown or degrown. Let's see how we do that. So we want to now add a if statement in a way that we say that the change is, or rather, advertising revenue has increased by 6.25% or decreased. So now we'll have to say if. Obviously, we need a conditional statement. But how do we do that? The best way would be to first get the entire result, and we will use a let to save this as the change. And now we will say that if the change is less than 0, then my answer would be that ad revenue has decreased by, and then we take the number, which is the change. Let's copy the entire thing. So we copy the entire thing and we say that if it is not less than 0, that means we would now want to say that it has increased by the change. Let's look at the result now. So now it says the ad revenue has increased by 6.25%, and if I select 2021, it says the ad revenue has decreased. We still have to change the word here. Let me check that. So we want to say that if the change is less than 0, oh, now what is happening is that the text that we have used is essentially converting my result into a text. So it's not a number anymore. And that's the reason why the increase decrease is not working correctly. So a small change that we will have to make is that we can't put the text directly. First we only get the result. We'll convert it into the text later, but this time you notice that the positive, negative, the increase decrease is coming, and the text can now be kept here. So the text of the change, and in double quote 0.00%, like this. Let's copy this. And let's check it one more time. So 2020, we have ad revenue that has increased by 6.25%. Ad revenue has decreased by negative 2.19. And then we have 2022. There are other things you can do. For example, we can also try to add a character 10. What that does is it sort of breaks the result into two lines. It's like a line break that we are creating. So as you can see, by adding a character 10, and if we also align this to the left, this is what we get. So we select the year, and that is how the result looks. Of course, you can keep on exploring and adding as many formatting changes to this as you want. But I think this is a pretty good example where we have not just recreated the EY chart, but also made it much more dynamic.